I'm Tameika Isaac Devine. I'm a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, and a city councilwoman.
Hello, I'm Jamie Devine, a husband, a father, and a community champ. I've been married to my wife, Tameika, for over 15 years.
Join us as we interview some of our favorite couples, hear their stories, and be inspired.
The secret to our successful marriage is that we are very intentional about our date nights.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
Hi, I'm Tameika. And we are the Devines. Welcome to Date Night with the Devines. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode where we interview other amazing couples who are just doing everything as it relates to life, business, love, marriage, raising a family, all of that. I know sometimes it seems like there's so much going on in the world. How can you actually have a successful relationship, marriage, a Black marriage, and build a legacy? Well, tonight we have an amazing couple who will talk to you about the legacy that they're building, how they are raising amazing children, that they too themselves are amazing professionally, but first and foremost, they always keep God first and their marriage, which is so very important as we continue to build strong marriages in this world. So, Jamie, you want to introduce our guest tonight?
Sure will. We have with us on tonight our good friends, Mike and Rozalynn Goodwin. Mike is a local comedian. International comedian, funny man, speaker, and leader. His signature bow tie represents his expectation to find the brand of comedy that leads a variety of audience, from churches to corporate events to swanky galas, laughing hysterically and completely inspired without a foul or vulgar word spoken. And amen to that. He's a native of Camden, holds a master's degree in education from the University of South Carolina, where our Lady Gamecocks have won in our national championship. He's also a veteran of the U.S. Army and a former educational professional. He's seen on various stages, from America's Got Talent, BET, Amazon Prime, Word Network, and various other groups. He's been on stage with Tim Hawkins, Dr. Jermaine, David Jermaine, John Chris, and others. And he is, again, a Southern gentleman, love for people, heart of God, and again, married to wonderful Rosalynn Goodwin. And they have two beautiful children. And then Miss Rosalynn Goodwin is a vice president with a local organization that does great work throughout the state of South Carolina, and she advocates for public health. She's a native of Mount Carmel, South Carolina, which is in McCormick County, which is where my mother's from. So, yes. Yay. And so she has a bachelor's degree in healthcare management from Lander and a master's from USC. Liberty Fellow, graduate of Leadership Columbia, serves on several boards throughout the Midlands, has won several awards. She is also the co-founder of Confidence, and she and her 7-year-old daughter, Gabby's how old now?
She's 15 now, starting when she was 7.
Wow, Gabby is 15. Gabby solved the age-old problem of disappearing haverettes by inventing Gabby bows, and we'll hear more about that. It's the first patent double snap barrette. They've been featured on The Real, HSN, QVC, Aspire TV, NPR, The Today Show, Jet, Black Enterprise, AOL, and many, many other publications. And Gabby's the 2015 South Carolina Youth Entrepreneur of the Year, 2016 SCORE Foundation Outstanding Diverse Business of the Year. She has spoken at many, many conferences. And again, Rosalynn also manages her husband, our good friend, comedian. And again, they have a son, Michael, and they're right here in Columbia. So welcome to our brother, Mike, and to Rosalynn, our sister.
Welcome, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining us. It's so exciting to have y'all. So for those who are watching, I was, saying offline that we have wanted to get you guys on here since our first season, and we are now in our third season but you guys are doing amazing things. We could never get on your schedule. But we're so proud of you guys, everything that you're doing from, Mike's been on, what was it, America's Got Talent, Roz and Gabby have been, on The Real and Black Enterprise. And I know we'll get into it, but recently you guys opened up a salon. And so, y'all are really building a lot, which I think you're showing, again, as I mentioned at the introduction of the show, the legacy. There's so much that goes into having a strong marriage and keeping God first in your marriage. But when you keep God first and you are dedicated to each other, the fruits of your labor will be shown. Of course, God has blessed you with amazing children who have amazing talents, and y'all are building a legacy and really an inspiration to a lot of couples. And so we're excited to have you here.
Thank you. So
first. Oh gosh, I'm excited. I want to jump into this conversation. I'm so excited. Y'all know I'm excited. I get excited about all these because really the reason we started date night was because there are so many people who always talk about, seeing God-centered, strong Black marriages. And when the Obamas left the White House, people were like, oh, that was our only Black family that, was doing anything. And, we got to show them that we got stuff. We got people here in our communities that are working hard, that are such an inspiration. And so you guys are the folks that we look up to, and we learn a lot from you guys. So let's start first, kind of, let's go back before we give people the nuggets that help you guys as you continue to build your family and your legacy and your relationship. Let's start back at the very beginning. You guys did y'all meet at USC?
No, we actually met at Lander University.
Lander, okay. So yes. Tell us, how did you guys meet?
You want me to do?
True.
So we're gonna share the abbreviated version. But we met at Lander University. I was a junior at Lander University. After high school, Mike went straight to the Army. And we met. I was starting my junior year. He had just come in as a freshman after spending 4 years in the Army. A little known fact is a couple of months before we met, I had been challenged by a girlfriend to write in my journal what I was desiring in a mate. I had accepted Christ in college and, ended relationships that were not glorifying to him. So I had been single, not dating any several months. And I wrote down in my journal what I desired in a mate. I said I wanted dark skin, glasses, fingernails not bitten off, pet peeve, made me laugh, love God more than he loves me, knowledgeable about his history. I mean, I wrote all these different things down, never met Mike in my life. So we're in the cafeteria with some girlfriends, and I'm talking in mid-sentence, and Mike walks down to the cafeteria, and I stopped in mid-sentence because I immediately saw what I wrote in my journal. Wow. And my friend picked up on what was happening and immediately starts trying to set us up for a date, which she did. He asked me out. The only problem was Mike was not saved.
Okay. How'd that work out?
I was for the streets.
I got you.
But Roz was determined because I saw a vision of, wow, like this is him. I don't know. I can save him. I don't know. Like if he had just gotten there a semester before, we probably would have both been for the streets.
Oh,
so, wow. But
time is everything.
Right. But after Mike was actually the one that said, listen, I was raised in church. I fear God, and I fear him too much to mess with one of his children. He said something so powerful. I was like, wow, he's saying that and not me. I was a Christian trying to hold on to the guy who wasn't saved. So we parted ways as far as relationship wise.
Romantic. We were friends.
We were friends, but you saying romantically, it wasn't like that. But we remained
we were
friends.
not romantic already, but we were dating. Like
right.
Yeah. You were trying to make it a romantic scenario.
Right. Was trying to make
I said let's make it a platonic.
Yeah, just gonna be friends. So we stayed friends for a number of years, and then Mike got saved later on in college, and we reconnected. So that's kind of how we met.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. So the other thing, so I say this year is my year of transition. I'm doing a lot of different things in life now. And so I've been reading a lot about affirmations and creating the life you want and writing out and visioning, and Roz, this because you and Gabby have attended my vision board seminars. So I've done vision board for many, many years. But I'm really delving deeper into meditation and the affirmations, and your words are powerful. And as you speak them and even write them, how they come to life if you truly believe in your heart that these are the things that God has for you. And so hearing you say that, honestly, it's just so powerful, because I do hear so many women, single and married, who say, well, I wish this or I want this. And I don't know if they understand the power in just acknowledging what it is that you want and creating that vision and allowing God to bring that to you in his time. And so even if you said you wrote it, you met, it wasn't really necessarily in that timing, but in God's timing, he brought it together, and he brought y'all together. So that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Amen. The ushers would come from the rear of the church to the front. Mike, tell us a little bit about your comedy, how you got started. Were you always, that funny guy in school? And then, how did you transition from being, funny to making it into a business?
Yeah, I wasn't the funny guy. I mean, I always had a great sense of humor. Mm-hmm. I was more of the person that told the class clown what to do. I was the puppeteer. I would suggest certain things, and then people were like, "Oh man, that's funny," and they go do it. I was funny if people paid attention, and people were not paying attention. So I just I flew under the radar. I mean, I think I was a fun kind of guy, but nobody would. I don't think my classmate would say, "Oh man, I just knew you were going to be a comedian," and I didn't even think I was going to be a comedian. Wow. I just knew that I had all this energy. I used to think I was super extroverted, and I'm not. I didn't have anywhere for my comedy energy to go before I got on stage. So like now, off stage, I'm calm. I'm not the life of the party. I can turn it on, but
right.
Prior to me doing it on stage, like it compelled me to do. Like I just was constantly being funny, saying little snarky, smart, sarcastic things. So I think what happened, I never really had a vision for comedy. I just never thought that was a realistic endeavor. So I was living life. My goal was to be a VP of student affairs at a college. My wife would tell anybody she thought she was marrying a judge. So, it just never seemed to me like this was my life's endeavor. And it became pretty apparent later in life around, I was in graduate school at the time, and I met Akintunde at our church, and we were working together in the media ministry, and he's the reason I basically got on stage, because he said, "Man, you a funny dude. You need to get on stage, or I'm going to take the material that you've been telling me, and I'm going to get on stage, and I'm not going to give you any money." And so
all right.
I got Debo onto stage. That's basically what happened.
Wow. Now, Ak and Unissa they've been on date night. We've interviewed them. They've talked to us about their first date. It's funny. They met, I guess, in Savannah.
Yeah.
That one was a good one too. So we
Right, yeah.
enjoyed them.
Yeah.
So Roz, did you see that in him? Because you put in your vision that you wanted someone to make you laugh. Did he always make you laugh? And did you see that comedian in him?
I enjoyed laughing. I did not write down I wanted a comedian. But God is just so awesome. And he just gives exceedingly above what you want. Like I said, I wanted to laugh. Like, okay, I'm gonna give you a comedian. You're gonna laugh all the time. But no, so one of the things when we had our first date, and I've heard him talk about it to other people, he mentioned that I laughed at all of his jokes. Because they were funny. I enjoyed laughter. I enjoyed laughing, and I'm just so grateful. God knew that, with my job and dealing with politics, Tameika, both of y'all know, just to have that type of in my life,
right,
so necessary and needed. So no, I didn't. When Ak deboed him on the stage, I was, extremely proud. I still did not think that, okay, this is what he's going to do. But once he got on stage and I saw the passion in him, I saw the purpose in him rise up.
Mm-hmm.
And as a wife, that's what you want to see. And it was a little scary because I really thought I was marrying a judge. He was a political science major when I married him. So I'm seeing him come alive on the stage and just seeing this energy, this passion that I've just never seen him do in all of his various jobs. He's done all kind of different things. He's been in student affairs. He's worked at universities, worked at a private school, but I've never seen that type of passion and drive. So, as he started getting booked more and it came a time that he felt like he was turning down shows, I was really the one to push him out and just say, okay, let's just step out in faith and see where God's going to take this.
Right.
So that is what it was. It was me seeing him really come to life, walking in his purpose. And who doesn't want that for their spouse?
Exactly. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
Teamwork makes the dream work. So speaking of the business and the company and just what you guys are doing over the years, how have you built the thriving family business and just what motivates y'all to do what y'all do?
That's a great question. I think people see the end and they don't see the process.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So Rosalyn was not supportive of my comedy career at the beginning. Now, she wasn't not supportive, may not be the right word. She was like, that's your thing. It's not our thing.
Right.
So probably the first 5-6 years of my comedy career, I'd had other people that I was working with. They were booking me. She didn't have any kind of hands-on involvement. She was like, that's Mike's deal.
The business, yeah.
And it's like, that's my husband. I support him.
Right.
But she wasn't involved and she had no interest in being involved. Mm-hmm. And I remember she had came back. It may have been a women's conference or it was something where I might have started communicating, hey man, I really would feel more comfortable if you were talking some of these people. It's just that was her skill set. Right. She had no confidence in that. She felt like the people that we were working with were far more capable and better to serve in that capacity. So she didn't jump right in there. And I remember she came back and basically said, hey, I don't know if she wanted to apologize, but she said, hey, I'm going to reposition myself. I'm going to be more active in what you're doing. And it's us versus what you like. I'm a part of what you're doing. So that began to, lead us where we currently are now, which she's not even booking me anymore. We just hired somebody. So she has been booking me for the last probably 11, 12 years. Right. Mm-hmm. But we just recently hired someone to take that off of her so that she could, focus in other areas. But so it wasn't an overnight thing. It wasn't something that immediately happened. We had difficulties and conflicts, and she may have looked at him like, why are you, you're not making any money. What are you doing? You going to these things and these shows, and there's a birthday party that we got coming up, or there's family things that, her family is very active. They have a lot of events. They have programs for their birthday parties. That's not how my family operates. So if you don't show up to these events, there's a role, there's an attendance sheet that they keep, and you get the merits. And they spend 20 minutes asking where Mike,
right?
Where Mike go?
So no, he brings up a great point. So we certainly saw the passion. It's okay, yeah, go do it. But what I got to do with me?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because of course, I've got a career. I've established in healthcare in it. For several years. Probably about that time, you 5 years in, maybe. Gabby and I started working on this invention that, no one had seen before. So I'm trying to juggle that. And then we got 2 young kids.
And we're pretty active in church.
So all those things were going on. So it was kind of like, no, go do your thing. But every time someone else was managing him, he'd always kind of come back and like nobody worked. And then he would make a suggestion like I was the person to do it. I'm like, when? When am I going to manage you and do all this other stuff? Like, I don't see it as possible. I didn't feel like I was a good negotiator. I just came up with all of these reasons why somebody else could do this better than him. And God dealt with me. He said that I put you 2 together. When I put you 2 together, I knew the path that Mike would be on. And I've anointed, I've ordained, I've empowered you, equipped you to be whatever you need to be for your husband. So it's no, I don't know how to negotiate, or I can't deal with these people. I don't know what to do. Like, if you would submit to me, I'll teach you how to do all of those type things.
All right.
It was just this shift that happened that I had to recognize that I was given this leadership abilities, qualities to other things in the community, but if I just submitted myself, God would help me be that, what my husband needed me to be. And I really believe that once we got on the same page, and we call ourselves Team Goodwin. We really started working as a team and just said that, okay, just because you do comedy and I'm at the State House, it doesn't mean that we have separate things that's going on. God called us. God called our family to comedy. God called our family to advocacy. God called our family to girls empowerment and confidence. So we're not doing anything by ourselves. It's not you over here, I'm over there. Right. Everything we do is as a team. And we figure out, okay, what is my role on the team? So my role on the team, what Mike needed me to be at that moment was the one doing the bookings, calling people when they wanted to book, negotiating those type things. And I said, okay, God, you're going to have to help me because I don't think I can do this. But he helped me, and we were able to propel his business to a whole nother level. But it was a shift. It was rocky in those moments. And I just had a blockage. Like, I don't know how I can do another thing, but God is faithful. And, really, it brought our marriage closer together when we started working together with what God called us to do.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I was thinking, like, so many couples think that, okay, if we work together, especially in this kind of thing, management and, your talent, is that going to add stress? Right. And so can you talk us through that? Like, I think you really hit it on that. God's going to empower you. He's going to give you what you need to do that through. But how was that journey on kind of that discovery? And then how did y'all make sure that you kept separate the business part, but made time for each other so that you weren't losing out on that husband and wife relationship?
I think one of the things that has helped us a lot, and I was just telling somebody this the other day, is that we schedule meetings like we're a business. We are a business. So you have staff meetings. We have staff meetings with the 2 of us where we're covering business things. so it doesn't leak out and spill out into all of our family life.
It leaks out.
It leaks out. It still leaks out. But we do have a dedicated time to where we're at least trying to get those things done versus, okay, if something's urgent, yeah, I got to talk to you about it on Wednesday and our meeting was Tuesday.
Right.
But those things help. And then, Mike, you want to talk about the quarterly getaways?
Well, even before that, I think that the thing that, so I'm mindful that, and I tell Rosalyn this all the time, I didn't marry a business partner. I married my wife. I married someone who's I'm attracted to, who I want a romantic relationship with. And Rosalyn's a great business mind. She's a great entrepreneurial catalyst, creative, all those things. Like, she's grown into that role. And sometimes that role may overshadow her being my wife. And so she'll tell me business stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't need that. I need my wife to say some wife stuff. So I say I'm not going to be married to my business partner. I'm not going to be married with someone, a professional relationship that has sex. So I'm constantly mindful of that. I'm constantly trying to communicate that. I'm constantly saying, hey, we need to do things together. We need to watch TV shows. We need to sit and talk for 20 minutes. We need to flirt. We need to slap each other on the butt. We need to do the things that fuel our love relationship, because that's what we started as. Like,
That's it.
this other stuff is great. Like, she's been a perfect partner. She's been a perfect person to go along on this journey. But I'm very clear that you're my wife. And then if these other things are causing stress, you don't need to be those other things. Like, that's why we hired the booking agent, because that was causing too much stress. It was causing too much weight on our interactions. And all we were talking about, did you call these people? Did you email? And And it just was, it was contentious. It was it was conflict, contentious. Even when it wasn't like, hey, man, did you email those people? What people? And then now we off into a thing.
Right.
And so I realized that, okay, I need to protect my wife, because my wife has the propensity to overwork. Like, my wife doesn't know how to turn it off. And so I have to be very mindful. Like, it's the strange thing, Jamie. I don't know if you have. My wife, I don't know what she does for fun. Like,
don't have that issue here.
Group, they be texting each other. They don't never do that. They just text twice a year. I'm like, I'll leave now and go hang out with somebody.
Y'all just get up and go.
I'm gonna go kick it with my man.
That's right. Yeah.
He over here at Walmart. I'm gonna
No, Walmart.
So I don't know what happened in terms of, like, my wife has difficulty playing. Like, she doesn't want to play. She want to, gotta get this work. Gotta get this advocacy. We gotta get this legacy. We gotta do all this stuff that's heavy.
Yeah.
And so I have to be mindful to say, okay, put off the hat. And I think that's what society has caused Black women to be. Mm-hmm. They have to show up in these spaces and be masculine and be authoritative and, to protect themselves. So then when they come home, they forget to turn off the me against the world switch. And now we up in here having challenges. And so I think when you acknowledge that, one of the first things I was, and I haven't been the best at doing it, is just communicating the vision. Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? You're not going to have to always be doing this. This is for a limited amount of time. Once we get to this point, we'll get some more help. We'll transition. So you have to constantly communicate that stuff to your wife, because they'll go. They'll go and they'll create a plan and a system. It's like the idea, if somebody doesn't say anything, they fill in the words. They don't wait for you to tell them the things that you are thinking about. They like, oh, he's probably thinking that this and this and this and this. And so you have to be the one to say, no, I'm not thinking about any of that. This is the stuff I'm thinking about. So I think communicating the vision, communicating why I'm driving 3 hours to go do a comedy show and only do 5 minutes and only get paid $70 or whatever those things were back then.
Yeah, back when we don't do that. Don't call it $70.
Okay, that's called growth.
Right.
It's called growth.
I think the other thing I really noticed, and this started the quarterly getaways, that I talk about this a little bit on stage. Like, men feel most comfortable at home. Women feel most comfortable away from home. So we got this dynamic that's in play. Like, I just want to be at the house. Like, I don't have to go to Main Street. I don't have to go to the Vista.
That's right.
I don't have to leave my front yard. I'm good.
Right here.
But women, they home, they see dishes, they see laundry, they see the kitchen floor needs to be fixed. And it's very stressful. So I started noticing that we were home too much, even with date nights. Like, date nights are wonderful and people should be doing date nights. Right. But I realized that I should get her out of our environment, out of the house, even out of the city sometimes. And it wasn't like we need to go to San Francisco. I just started looking around. I was like, okay, where are places I can go that are within 3 hours that we can go? And I initially said we'll do like Sunday till Tuesday, because I work a lot on the weekends and it's hard for us to kind of navigate the weekends, and it's cheaper if you go to places through the week. You know, if you go to Chateau Alon on a Monday, that's a different price than on a Saturday night. And so I started looking at that, and we had help in town, so my mom and people could keep the kids, take them to school. Right. And I just saw that if I didn't pull her out of her work ethic or her constant grind, we would be dealing with crisis. Like, by the time that, the time that she said, hey, I can't take it no more, she really can't take it no more. Like, I'm not doing this. And like, now you're like, whoa, how do we get here? You see people snap, like, wait until exhale type scenario. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm in your secretary. And so I'm like, okay, man, we have to spend time together away, and we need to spend time disconnected from the things that cause them stress. Like, that's right. What causes us stress and what causes them stress are different things. And so I think that's been very important. But even when we get away, like if we get away and she comes with me on a show, she's on vacation. I'm not on vacation. That's right. So I'm working, and with the way I work, I'm making your vacation not a vacation, because I'm like, I'm on it. Like, I'm, if we went to Cabo and she just was like, you travel like you by yourself. I'm like, hey man, we gotta get through immigration. She don't know what gate we at. She don't know. Follow me. I'm gonna get you where you need to be. There you
50
go.
50 miles an hour on his feet.
World
so you got to constantly think about those things and be self-aware. And I mean, one of the things I'm constantly telling myself, I have to be nice. I'm not a nice person, just smiles and giggling. Like, I gotta be nice to my wife, but I gotta say things in a kind manner. Even though I'm not mean, I'll say something like, hey man, can you fix me a plate? That don't sound good. That ain't
nah, bro, that ain't good.
That don't make nobody want to go and fix you a plate.
That's it. That's
like,
it.
Hey, can you fix me a plate, please? Or I would love to have a plate.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hey, where my plate at? That's how I was brought up into this.
Look at that growth. Yeah. Look at that growth.
Yeah.
So just being mindful of the atmosphere that you set. I think that's something beyond the success of your business, beyond the vision. What's the atmosphere? Is it a place where, Rosalyn felt for a long time she couldn't say something. If she said something, we we'd be in a defense. She got to defend herself, and now we in this verbal sparring, which I enjoy. I enjoy verbal sparring. That's
I hate.
I was looking at some ideogram thing, and that's what it was like. Whatever I am, they were like, we like to have verbal sparring, just on regular life. Nothing to angry, nothing to be frustrated about.
Right.
We like that type of energy. So I had to realize that my wife is not that type of person. I had to bring it down.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. No, that's you hit so many great nuggets in that, because even with that, I'm sitting here thinking like I'm thinking, okay, Rosalyn, I took advice from you, and so I'm doing the quarterly getaways, and so our first quarter getaway was Charleston, but he was working, so I'm like, okay, so that doesn't count now.
Listen, we had fun though.
But that is so important, because I think in today's society, things are so constant, and you're working and you do have kids, and there's a lot going on, and it's hard sometimes to separate yourself from the things that you feel like you have to do versus really just nurturing your relationship, and then you guys individually, because what I just heard you say is you're also feeding into, you're knowing what she needs, and you're feeding into that. And that's so important, because I think sometimes we miss that. So,
Right.
Yeah, no one teaches us that stuff, right? Like you don't
Exactly.
You don't get that. You know, I didn't grow up in a household where it was loving by no stretch. Like even if they were like, it was no stretch of the imagination. And then even the relationships I thought were loving and ones I kind of aspired to be like, when you got up close to them, you're like, oh man, these folks ain't doing that well either.
Okay.
And so I figured out, okay, I need to go get information, because I don't have information. I need to go get it.
Yep.
And so I'll read and I'll listen to podcasts. I mean, I'll just, we go on marriage. I do a lot of marriage date night comedy stuff, and I sit my butt right in the audience and listen to the speaker when they're doing the presentation. So I'm constantly looking at the state of my marriage. I'm just always evaluating, how could I be better? What's going well? What are things that I can improve upon? And just understanding that it's not a one size fit all, right? You just don't get married. It's going well today. That doesn't mean tomorrow that a thunderstorm is not coming. So you have to be looking at the weather.
That's it. You got to prepare.
Yeah.
You got to prepare. So Tameika had touched on it a little bit earlier. You all have children, just as we have children. What legacy or what is it that you want to leave? And it's kind of like what you were saying. You didn't grow up and learning certain things. What legacy do you want to leave to your children?
I mean, we definitely want to leave a legacy of generational wealth, but I think more than that, we want them to see a marriage that glorifies God. We want them to see teamwork in action. We want them to see selflessness. We want them to see having an idea, going after your dreams, and then having the support of a family unit behind you to do that. I mean, I believe those are things that they are, of course, observing with us up close. And I mean, those are the type that, I mean, Mike mentioned, that's something he did not see. We, want there to be no question for our kids to say, okay, this is what I saw. This is possible. To have, a loving marriage, mom and dad who work together, who of course sacrifice and make sure that we have generational wealth, and we're establishing something that will be going on for generations. But we do want them to see just that solid spiritual unit of the marriage.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I'm probably more conscious about is our Christianity in practical terms. I just remember being a kid And I just had an unrealistic expectation of Christians. I thought Christians had to be perfect and they weren't going to make mistakes. And you always were trying to be good as opposed to being good. Like, so there's an element that I really want to communicate to my children of cultivate your relationship with God. And as you do that, you'll be able to navigate life. And I want you to be kind, and I want you to be a person that shows love, and I want you to be God-like, not by what you say, but your actions and your lifestyle. And I'm super like, so I got a 11-year-old son, and he's been kind of coasting in terms of man class stuff. Like I've been letting him be boy. He's a boy.
Right.
But we turn in the corner, and this man stuff is about to be on his head in terms of, I was talking to him about this today. I was saying that men, and I was saying, you and I, we're men in this, and the type of men that we are, what we say and what we do, it lines up.
That's it.
Sometimes what me and you, when I'm talking to you, what you say and what you do, they're not together.
Right.
And I need you to have that like this. And then not to say that sometimes it doesn't move, but if you telling me this stuff, but your actions are like, bro,
right.
That's not the expectation that I have for you, and that's not the expectation you have for yourself. So I'm really imparting into my son the importance of manhood and being a young man and growing up to be the type of man that he has pride in and that he feels good about, and that he's honorable, and he's a righteous man, and he's a man that's sober-minded. You know, the things that society won't highlight readily, or your peers won't celebrate quickly. You know, so I really want to lay that foundation inside of it. I want him to, sometimes like if I go back and I try to pull up the lessons I learned from over years, like there's nothing, it's blank. There's a couple of but my dad wasn't laying down these things that this is what you do. I want my son to have an archive record of conversations, and we talked about that, and this is he made that apparent.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good,
because that is so important. It's interesting because you touched on that, and I didn't think we'd go there, but the strength, you know, I guess the other benefits of this is talking about the fact that as you know, Black moms and dads, what we are instilling in our kids as well, and how that is part of our generational legacy as well, because we are building up, you know, the next generation. And there's an article or study that came out recently, and it irked me. It talked about how more successful Black women need to consider you saw that, Rosalyn? Consider marrying outside their race, because that's who will support them. And it had a picture of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and her husband kissing her on the head after the confirmation hearings, and it just irked me, because I'm just like, you know, why are we are building, you know, we've got some amazing strong Black men, you two, as part of that, examples of how you're not intimidated by strong Black women, but we're working together as a team to build our families and build our children. And we're teaching, what are we teaching our young boys if we're trying to say, well, you know, we want successful Black women to do other things. So that whole point which you're talking about, what you're teaching Mike is so important, because he is growing into manhood. And I know he is also a budding entrepreneur, but I mean, he's being able to learn not just what you tell him, but also what you model for him. And this generation, they have so much that they're dealing with. We've got to be able to show them this strength in our families and in our culture, so that they grow into that the way that they should.
And similar to your point, when I do pull up those memories, it's a lot of violence in those memories.
Wow.
So I'm trying to impart the lesson minus all the violence. Like there's a little violence in it, but there's not. Like I can't, I constantly marvel at my children, how they navigate through our home and the things that I would just be berated for. Like they don't have a second thought. I'm just like, bro, do you not understand? Somebody threw me through a wall if I was looking like that. Like, what did your brain tell you?
Your brain is
appropriate. So I'm trying to convey good stewardship, organization, the things that you need to know, without having negative thoughts and feelings associated. My pastor says the thing about don't leave them thinking about their actions, not your actions. So if you go to someone and you say what they done that has been wrong, but you out of control, I can't believe you did, they're not going to think about what they did. They're just going to be like, Mike is such a hothead. He doesn't have any regard for my feelings. And it's like, but did you do the stuff he was ranting and raving about? Yeah, but that doesn't matter because you're carrying on. And with boys, we know we have a different experience in this world. I don't care how people want to try to communicate differently. That's how they want to value signaling, all these words and things and phrases that people are trying to create. This big, like, no, y'all making up this stuff. Like, no, I'm not making this stuff up. Right. I've navigated through this world.
That's it.
I've navigated. I'm a 47-year-old man. I know what I know. I need to give my son insight and wisdom and strategies how to navigate America. I'm always working on material, but I'm thinking about this idea around people always talk about the race card. It was like, why you always bring up the race card? I was like, well, when they did the 3-5 compromise, that's when the race card was brought up. Like it was created with the race card. So we brought it up. It's in the system. Like, you ain't got to bring up the race card.
Play the hand that we got.
That's it. The hand you dealt.
Yeah.
Nobody we're bringing nothing. It's already up.
That's it.
But I'll make that funny and it'll be a longer thing at some point on stage. Right. That's like the beginning. That's the beginning of an idea that I'm working on.
Well, that leads me. So before Jamie closes with his infamous question that he always ends us with, I do want to talk about kind of the businesses a little bit. So you are building that legacy. Tell us a little bit, Mike, and also so that people know how they can follow you and learn and see where you are. So tell us a little bit about Mike Goodwin Comedy, and then Rosalyn, tell us a little bit about Gabby Bowes and Confidence, and where are you going in the next? I know I've been watching y'all on social media, so I know y'all are strategizing and planning, and you got vision. So kind of where are y'all going with that legacy in your family business?
So comedy is a very bizarre field. I mean, I am amazed that I'm making a living doing stand-up. So it's not lost on me how rare it is for someone to be successful as a comedian. Anytime I meet someone, they'll say, how long you've been doing it? And then they're immediately like, so what else do you do? Like, I know you're out here, doing prepaid league or whatever. I know you got some I know you work at UPS. I know they know I do something else. And I'm like, I don't. I've been doing stand-up full-time for 10 years, 10 plus. And it's grown. It's been successful and it's lucrative, it's profitable. So this is a good gym just in general. When I started, I wanted to be the talent. I wanted to be name and lights on the marquee. I want 3 bottled waters, the green M&Ms. That was the mentality. The
green
M&Ms. Yeah, just get all the other colors out here. You keep the red ones. Red was good.
I was gonna say, what about the red and white ones for you? I like purple and gold better, but I understand.
I know that. I'm surprised you aren't in jail, sir. Y'all just celebrate. Y'all had a bunch of people in town. I'm like, they going to prison this weekend. Lockups. I heard about y'all, man.
So you do.
Over there in Trinity College. I heard about you boys, man. I was like, this is a story offline, but I know one of your frat brothers from the reserves. And, oh my goodness.
Yes, sir.
We have to talk about him at another time.
Okay. Wow, you silly.
But the idea I had, I was the talent, and so I saw myself hitting like a wall or a glass ceiling. Mm-hmm. And I looked at kind of who was booking me, the opportunities I was getting, and then I was looking around at other peers, and then I would get other opportunities from here, every now and again, but it wasn't consistent. And I was like, man, how can I get more of those type of opportunities, those type of bookings? And so I made a conscious decision. It may have been 5-6 years into doing comedy. This is what I told myself. I said, man, I got to get off the chitlin circuit. I just have to get off the chitlin circuit because I was doing a lot of things that would look like the old school Motown chitlin circuit. Like you get in the bus and you do all these bars and you do these back room type things. So I made the shift in my mind to stop thinking about comedy from an artist perspective, but I looked at it from an entrepreneurial perspective. So I stopped being the talent. I stopped being the comedian, and I started being a business person that could take comedy and generate entrepreneur opportunities. And so when that happened, before then, I basically was just doing comedy shows wherever people, and so I worked clean. So I was getting at churches. I was doing, family reunions, birthday parties, those type of things. But when I first started thinking entrepreneur, I was like, man, I could do keynotes that are humorous. So I could do these keynote opportunities for the same, because I was already doing corporate, but I just was doing comedy there. I was doing their galas or their banquets, their luncheons, staff retreats, things like that. And I had an opportunity to do some stand-up, and this woman saw me and she said, well, do you speak? And I didn't at the time, but I was like, yeah, what you need? And so I went and did a workshop for her in North Carolina. And that made me think, okay, I need to create something so that when people come, I can sell that, as opposed to people show up and say, hey, man, do you do a thing on teamwork? Hey, man, do you do a thing on resiliency? Hey, man, do you do a thing on organization? I was like, I don't want to do all of those things. I'll create a thing that I do, and I'll do that over and over and over. So that was the first kind of stream that broke out from the main comedy thing. Okay. So I broke over into, working as a keynote speaker that's humorous. But then the other thing that happened, and it's been a few years, I started working with speakers to help them be more engaging on stage as a communicator. So I help them be better storytellers, to have more engagement with their content, and to kind of look at what they're doing and let's move this around. So I looked at their keynote from a comedic perspective in terms of, hey man, let's get out some of this boring stuff. Now you're not going to have a stand-up comedy routine, but you're going to have a far better presentation. Right. So I started working with speakers and helping them consult.
Awesome.
So that opportunity happened. When COVID hit, I had recorded a comedy album, but I just had it on my computer. So I submitted that to Sirius XM. So I started getting back money residuals every quarter from that content that was being played on Sirius. Then I had the opportunity to record a comedy special with Dry Bar. That's a comedy club out in Utah. It's on all the stuff that you probably see on Facebook. That's a lot of that content. Well, I started getting residuals back from the stuff that they're airing on Facebook, on YouTube. If people signed up to their platform and we got a membership. So I started seeing ways to make passive income far beyond getting on stage and telling jokes. And so that's kind of the role where I've been working probably for the last 6-7 years. And most recently I had opportunity. I was writing for the Nick Cannon daytime show. He had a show. Yeah, that show, it just got canceled, so I'm fired. But I do some stuff with Wild 'N Out. I write jokes for a particular cast member to perform. And so I started seeing opportunities far greater than what I saw when I was just trying to show up and tell jokes. So that's kind of where I am, and I've created this business solely on my comedic thoughts and ideas and the things that I used to get in trouble for when I was a little kid. Right. Now, I'm able to finance businesses and help grow the wealth that we are generating. So I would say I started like every other comedian. I wanted to be the next Kevin Hart, the big name, but then I realized that, okay, there's a lane for me specifically, that my experiences, my background, I bring something to the table that other people don't or can't in the way that I do. And so that's been probably the most exciting thing about my business, is seeing the opportunities that I can generate and it not be me doing stand-up comedy. And I love stand-up comedy. So that's the other challenge. I know people that, you may know an actor that gets into stand-up comedy just to get more opportunities to get acting. I love doing stand-up. I'm going to do stand-up probably till I'm 80, 85 years old. I'll sit on the stage with a microphone. But I have to grow myself.
That's right.
Take because people need the skills and the expertise that I have. So that's where I am now, kind of expanding myself to not just do the stuff I enjoy doing, but the stuff that I know can help and benefit others.
Yeah. That's it. Plus, it frees you up to actually be home more. Because I would imagine if you're doing stand-up, that's physically you traveling all the time, and you've got a family. So
right.
Yeah. So, Rosalyn, what about Confidence and Gabby Bowes, and where are you and where are you going?
Well, we just opened up our first girl salon at 3525 Bush River Road. Okay. So that is a retail store for the products as well as a girl salon. We're filling a gap that is there. That there's so many salons, of course, across Columbia, but many do not service girls. They have an age limit before they service girls. So this is an experience that girls can come in and walk into a headquarters and retail store and see girls who look like them on our wall of confidence, and see an idea that started with a 5-year-old that manifested when she was 7 and is just morphed to something that has empowered over 50 girls in 16 states to start their own businesses through our academy. Awesome. And just a full-fledged operation, walking through fulfillment, walking through inventory to get to the salon. And it's just for them. It's not for anybody else. It is just for girls. So really excited about that. We'll continue to grow our business online at GabbyBowes.com and with our other retail partners, Bloomingdale's.com, Target.com, Amazon, and others, but just continuing to grow. Of course, the brand has evolved beyond the guaranteed anti-slip hair barrettes that will stay on until you take them off, to a full line of plant-based girls' natural hair care products that, of course, that we use in the salon. But just really excited about where the brand is going, how it's empowering girls across the world.
Wow. Awesome. And could y'all imagine when y'all met at Lander University that this is where you guys would be? God is amazing. God is amazing.
Now, y'all been married how long?
It'll be 22 years in August.
Speak on it. It's be 22. We just celebrated 20 years of a first date last week.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Almost there. Almost there.
We were babies.
Yes.
You were too. What, 25 and 23?
Wow.
We were babies too.
Wow. Amen. That's right. Well, listen, we're not gonna hold you guys too much longer. So there's the infamous Jamie question that he likes to ask at the end of each of the.
I like how you talk about yourself in third person.
I picked that up from you, communication, in action. See, so he likes to ask you if you could go back, and Mike, you hit a little bit on it, to a younger Mike and to a younger Rosalyn. What would you tell them? What advice would you give to a younger Mike or a younger Rosalyn? And you kind of given us some more nuggets, but just specifically as it pertains to just life in general, kind of like what you said. But what would you tell a younger Mike and a younger Rosalyn?
We'll go first.
Yeah, I would tell a younger Rosalyn to seek and accept help. I think when I first got married, we talked about just the kind of battle that I was in about how I could help Mike and do all these other things. I just had this archaic image in my head that I had to do everything. I had to cook, I had to clean, I had career goals. I wanted to achieve different things. I wanted to be this amazing mother that was at everything. And it was just overwhelming, even at a young age. And now I see moms who are a lot more progressive, and they're talking about nannies and somebody coming to clean. I wish I had the foresight at those times, because I wouldn't have been so overwhelmed at that moment. Help is all around us. I say this all the time. And what really hit me is I had an amazing supervisor. He's now retired, Jim Head. He would, just give me different readings about work-life balance and, how women exceeded in the corporate workplace. He left an article on my desk one day about, it was this long, I think it was in New York Times. It was this whole series about it. And I've started to read some of it. And there was a sentence that said that, men had benefited from something that a lot of their women counterparts don't have. And that's a wife at home. And I didn't even finish reading it. I was like, oh, that's all I need? I just need a wife? Okay.
Got it.
Go get me a wife. And literally, like, this is my thing. Like, I have multiple wives now, like food wife, a clothes wife, a shopping wife, a cleaning wife. Like, and I'm using wife loosely, but it just means help. Like, you don't have to do everything, young Roz. You can enjoy life. You can learn how to have fun.
All right.
Yeah. Really? I remember when you posted about that a few years ago, and yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
I tell people about delegating. I say hire your weakness.
Delegate, hire your weakness, empower somebody else, support somebody else's small business. Like, you don't need to feel less than because you have help. And I can concentrate on the things that are most priority and most primary for my family if I'm not stressed out about what I'm cooking or something like that. So
there's a great point to what y'all are saying. Your no is somebody else's yes.
Yeah.
I started realizing that.
Wow.
Oftentimes we taking on these things that if we said no, it would open the door for somebody else to hear a yes. So I think that's something we need to think about sometimes also.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I would tell young Mike Goodwin to go to therapy. I'm talking about right out the gate. Good. I would tell this dude to get your butt inside of somebody's office and have a conversation. I had a really life-changing experience. Probably it was about 19. Yeah, it was about the middle. It was like summer of 19. So here I am, making the most money I've ever made. My acclaim and name is getting out. I'm getting great opportunities. And from the outside looking in, life looked wonderful. I had a family that loved me, beautiful wife and children. And I couldn't have been less happier in that moment. Like I just had internal turmoil that I was able for a long time to just kind of push down and soldier on. I just was able to go on. But all those issues had gotten to a place I just could not find peace. Like I just could not resolve all this internal turmoil I had going. And I remember I was at a comedy show. I was opening for another well-established comedian, and I was a feature at his show. And I was in the lobby, and people would come up and say, "Oh, we really enjoyed you. When are you gonna get your tour?" That's a compliment. That's somebody saying, "I really enjoyed you. I would love to buy a ticket to come see you." In my head, I heard, "You should be farther along than this. What's wrong with you? You out here opening for somebody else. Why you don't have a tour?" And it was like, damn it. You know, it wasn't something that I heard that was edifying and something that I felt great about.
Right.
And I'm listening to it and I'm hearing how I'm responding. Like, why are you going on about, like, that's a compliment, man. So I told Roz, I said, man, I need to go talk to somebody. I think that I would benefit by going to counseling. And I was absolutely right. And I was able to untangle all of these traumas and hurts and pains that I had just been carrying for years. Like now we can go on family vacation and have a great time. I couldn't do that in the early part of our marriage because I was so hurt that I didn't go on family vacations when I was a kid. So I was on our family vacation sabotaging them because I had all this internal conflict and anger and jealousy that I had never gotten resolved. So I would tell that dude, "Hey man, go get healed emotionally."
That's it.
Because there's a lot that's coming ahead. And had I not done that, COVID would have took me out. Like I would not have been able. Yeah. I would not be the same person if I would have went through COVID with the emotional state that I was in.
Wow.
It's scary to think what I would have been through COVID.
And it's scarier to think how we would have been able to navigate just one of the greatest side swipes we've had in our lives. I found my best friend of 37 years and our children's godmother dead from COVID in our home.
Yeah.
I don't know. That scares me to think about. I don't know where I would be if Mike was not at a place of wholeness and healing to be there for me at my absolute weakest point of my life. Had he not been in counseling, I don't know where we'd be.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I think that is something, especially in the Black community, we underestimate the value of having a therapist and someone to talk with because, you know, you talk about trauma, but it doesn't even have to be like trauma that people had as a young person. It's just navigating, like you said, navigating life. I mean, we all deal with stuff and you need to have someone to talk to. And I you know, my professional, you know, I do mental health in probate court. And I talk to so many folks who are like, that means you're crazy. No, that means you are healthy because you are getting some help and you're talking to somebody. We all need somebody to talk to. So.
And you just hold on. You're gonna see crazy if you don't get help.
Yep.
Crazy coming. Like,
exactly.
You think you crazy. If you think you crazy now, wait until tonight.
Rosa, how you doing, girl? How you doing?
Y'all praying for me.
If you think you crazy now.
She wrote it down. She wanted somebody who makes her laugh.
Amen.
Don't go talk to somebody if you don't want to. Hey. Don't go talk to somebody you know you need to.
That's right. That's right.
Talking about crazy.
That's right.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. And we need to dispel that stigma that especially men. And we need to be able to say, hey, no, man, I get a trainer. I'll get a nutritionist. I'll get a stylist. Like, what in the world are you talking about?
Right. Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
I just took my car to the mechanic. You want me to fix my car in the yard? Because I don't have that skill set.
Open somebody else's yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Somebody else's yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. But listen, thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. The fabulous comedic Mike Goodwin, the refreshingly funny bow tie Mike Goodwin, and his lovely bride, my distant cousin.
Yes.
from McCormick.
McCormick. You gotta say McCormick. You can't say
You're right. McCormick. My mom's from Plum Branch, which is right the road from
Yeah.
Woo-woo. Yeah, that's out there.
Yeah.
I see those signs when I drive.
Listen, thank y'all so much. We've enjoyed
it. Promised land.
Yep, sure is. Sure is. You silly.
Yeah. So the small towns, like,
Yes.
you know, I
He's
laugh.
hating. He's hating on. He's
Yes.
hating.
You didn't grow up there, did you? You didn't grow up there, did you, Jay?
No, North. Well, no, I'm from a little. I'm from a
Bath.
small metropolis called Bath, South Carolina.
Bath?
Yes.
He hate you. Hating on us.
Oh. Yeah, I've heard of Bath.
Yeah.
How you heard of Bath? What you know about Bath?
Because I always look for weird names of cities, and so
Bath, South Carolina.
they came right up, right there with North. And
They had 200 people there. Now they got 199. I'm gone.
you go. Due West,
Okay.
96.
Oh Lord, y'all silly.
See, people getting South Carolina history here.
That's it. That's it.
Geography, South Carolina geography.
Geography. That's right.
So anyway, but thank you guys. We gotta do this again. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have been such a blessing. I mean, I'm like literally thinking of all the nuggets that y'all have dropped. So I appreciate y'all's time. Thank y'all for joining us. And then for those of you who are watching, thank you for joining us. Please make sure that you share and certainly go follow Confidence and Gabby Bowes, follow Mike Goodwin, and see all the great things that the Goodwins are doing. But most importantly, take some nuggets that they've given you tonight about strengthening your marriage, about taking time and self-care, and about building your legacy. But thank you so much for joining us. We are here every single third Monday night for Date Night with the Divines. We appreciate your support and your love as we continue to highlight amazing African-American marriages. So until next time, I'm Tameika.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are the Divines. Good night, everybody.